Well, we're back again, and this time I'm not overstressing on whether these squares will move. As you can see on my screen, we're starting over from scratch. Let's not even worry about incorporating, or rather importing, the video text, um, the video layout as the background. Let's focus on actually building the structure of the puzzle itself, because the objective really is to build those four squares, have those four squares move. I would prefer them to move up and down, and then put the actual context of the information in and engage the audience. One thing I will say about CodePen that I do like is that you can experiment, you can delete, you can save, and you don't have to purchase the premium unless you really are interested in this type of work and you can afford to pay for the premium. But I think for this particular video, I really want to focus on kind of movement and structure working together. So each square is styled, or will be styled, in kind of like this light blue font. And it's going to give like a subtle up and down motion to introduce the idea of dynamic behavior. And so this creates the foundation for how we'll build more complex puzzles that connect visual design with scientific concepts. Um, so again, just to go back, we're focusing on the 1975 Dr. Martin Klein's The White Cell, which was published by Harvard Press, versus 2026 Immunoglobe Contrast. And we're going to kind of build up that puzzle information and see if we can show the comparison and the contrast between the theories from 1975. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to continue to show how we input each puzzle line that we're creating in the three boxes. So you've got HTML, CSS, and JS, of course. I was trying to think of the best way to explain this to someone who's using CodePen for the first time. And so I'm just going to create the first line and I'll try to explain it from there. I'm going to write it out first. Okay. So what you're seeing right now on my screen, I have literally written out division, class, square, and then division again. And really all division means is just a section on the page, a box on the page. It doesn't do anything by itself. I mean, if you're looking at it right now on my screen, you'll see that we're going to be making four squares. Well, notice there are no squares. That's just one line of data. And since we're making four, what we can do is we can just copy and paste it 3 more times. 3, 4. Remember to hit save. Okay. So, of course, one of the complaints I can hear now is, Jen, I don't see squares. You're not going to, because to build up the visual, we're going to move it over to the CSS block. Now, something I want to say, you may hear from other people who are professional coders, or, novice coders, or people that are just, kind of learning the information about coding, that you can put everything in the HTML block, and that is correct. I'm only separating them out because the purpose of these videos is to kind of guide those that follow Kidney Contenders and really want to see how we brainstorm, how we process a lot of the information. So the next place we're going to move over to, of course, is CSS. Okay. So in the CSS box, what we want to do is we want to make sure that we use all of the information to give it an actual visual. So I know one question that was posed last time was, Jen, why do we use a dot before the reference? So in this case, the reference is actually going to be the square. So we've got dot square. And before we put anything into the curly brackets, just to kind of give you an idea about dot square, I'm trying to think of the best way to explain it. You target the class in CSS using a dot. So if we had created in the HTML box a triangle, a rectangle, a hexagon, whichever shape, and we transition to the CSS block, and we're referencing that, we use a dot, a period, right before that reference. That's the easiest way I know to explain that. Trying to think what else. We use the dot because it tells the CSS to style every box with the class square. So it's how we connect the label in HTML with the CSS style that we've put together. So we're going to create a light blue square for each 4 squares. I think that's the easiest way I can explain it. So you start with the dot square, you go inside the curly bracket. So we're going to start, if you remember from the last videos, we had width, height, I don't think we had length, and we had background. Okay. So for width, let's just put 80 pixels. For height, let's put, let me think. I think it's okay just to use the same pixel amount. And then for background, we're going to have to just, if I really probably should have like a little label here telling me all the different colors and stuff, but let's use 7EC, I think 8FF. Yeah. Okay. That should do it. Yeah. Actually, I think it's supposed to be two curly brackets. Okay. So that's a little different. It's a little different from what we did last time, but I mean, it's definitely a little different. I mean, it doesn't look bad, but I mean, okay, see where my cursor is? So that's all you see is just a solid. It doesn't show individual squares. So what we have to do is we have to go back inside of the curly brackets. And what we'll need to do is put another semicolon. And then let's do border right. What is it? Maybe like let's do 3 pixel solid black. And then see how that looks. Okay. Yeah, but see how it's not really, yeah. So the border right, and then of course, if we had to do, hold on, sorry. If we had to do border left, let's try that as well. So every time you're adding inside of your curly brackets, how you want your image to appear, assuming that your entire image is not video and you're actually typing it out, you have to use the semicolon to separate each section of the new information you're applying to that image. So we're going to just put a semicolon here. Let's do border left. Let's do 3 pixel again. And let's do solid black. And so that's going to be there. And it's going to be on the left side now. And then if we wanted to do maybe border top, let me see if you can do that. So let's do border semicolon and let's do border top, I think. Let's do also 3 pixels, solid black. Yep. Okay. And that seems to be about it. And then just for safe measures, do one more semicolon and put border bottom, 3 pixel, and do solid black. Okay. And so that includes every single section of the square. Okay, so on this side, as you can see, the JavaScript. So we created the squares, the invisible squares, in the HTML block. Then we slightly designed the squares, the 4 squares, in the CSS block. And now we want to make those squares move slightly up and down in the JavaScript block. And I know in the last video, I started pausing at how do I explain document and why we use document in our JavaScript code. So document object model, DOM, D-O-M. It's the blueprint of the web page. It's literally the blueprint of the web page. So when you hear the word or see the word document with document object model, think blueprint for the web page. So you don't type DOM. Don't type DOM. What you type would be document, because that object contains, it exposes the object's name. Easiest way to remember is that JavaScript doesn't have a command called DOM. It has a command called document, but it's referring to document object model. And that's really the only way that I personally know how to explain it with very low level vocabulary. Okay, so let's go over here to the JavaScript. Now that we have a slight idea about document object model or document, we start off with document dot query select. I think it's select or all, not select for all. I think it's dot document dot query select or all. And we're going to, of course, reference the element, which is the square. We use one quotation, not the double one, so we use the single quotation. Hold on. It's dot square. We have to take that from the CSS reference, so it's dot square. And then we close the parentheses, which it already automatically does. And then we're going to do for each square. And we're going to put the square abbreviation in the parentheses. It's going to be square.style. I know I had a problem last time. Animation equals move and infant. INF, infinite, alternate, I think. Okay, let me see. Are you moving? See, it doesn't look like it's actually moving. Dot document, query select, we're all square for each. Square is equal to or greater than square dot style dot animation equals move, unless, oh, wait a second. It shouldn't be move in. It shouldn't, isn't it supposed to be like a number? I think it was supposed to be a number. I think it's supposed to be a number, and then it like slightly moves. Okay. We don't need, I don't think it's dot document. I know why we put the dot before square in CSS, but I don't believe you have to put a dot before document in JavaScript. Okay, I do see it slightly moving. You know what? Let's move, let's do 10, because I don't feel like I'm seeing anything. I mean, okay, I'm more than certain the JavaScript is right. Let's go to the CSS. I want to take away one of the curly brackets, and then I believe we need a semicolon here. Okay, is it moving now? You know what? I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the CSS. Okay, so we have the colon marks after width. We have the colon marks after height. We have the colon marks after background, border rights, border left, border top. We don't have colon marks after border bottom. Try this. Okay. Hit save. So you see how the CSS and the JS almost have to mimic each other? In JS, we're telling the square to move 10 seconds, I think that is. But I believe you have to also kind of give an idea to CSS that the keyframe is move. So we're missing that line. So I think let's go here. Let's add a line 2. Let's put at keyframe move curly bracket. Let's see, to transform. And every time we're giving those specific instructions, we're using those colon marks. Translate, I guess the y-axis. Well, it's not going to be the x-axis, so it's going to be the y-axis. So translate, and it's going to be, well, can we do just like a 10 pixel, or does it have to be the exact 80 pixels? Hold on. Translate, let's do that. Not sure though if we should put the negative there. I'm trying to remember from past puzzles I've created, which is trial and error in most cases. Let me see how this looks. Are we finally moving? No, we are not finally moving. Jeez Louise, this is enough to make you go crazy. Okay. So I think it's supposed to be plural, at keyframes. And then let me see, solid black at keyframes. I think I might have too many curly brackets. Let me see now. Well, it should be moving up and down. I still don't see that. So it's at keyframes move to transform, translate y-axis moving up. Let's try a larger number. Let's try 20. Still not moving. I mean, I still don't see it moving. Okay, let's try. Okay, hold on. Let's put a curly bracket here. Does that work? Okay, I see movement. That was it. We got movement, everyone. We got movement. Look at that. Look, there it goes. There it goes. Okay. We got movement. Thank the word. Okay, do we need another? Yeah, we do. Okay. Here's the good news. It's moving. All right, click save. Okay, so as you can see, sometimes it takes this long, especially when you're going for a different design. So I want to go over this really carefully. We had to separate the argument out in the line, and we were missing the curly bracket because when we had transform translate and 2, we didn't separate out the bracket. We were supposed to separate with a curly bracket between the word move. Sorry, let me use my cursor, between the word move and the word to. And then we did that. But then guess what? How many brackets did you have? Well, clearly you have to close the bracket with the line that reads transform, translate, y-axis, 20 pixels. and you close that out with the curly bracket. But here's the thing. If you're adding another bracket between the word move and the word to, well, guess what? That's still like a new argument. So you have to close out that argument as well. And I am so grateful that it's finally moving, because I started to like pull out my hair, like going, oh my goodness, figuratively speaking, of course. So now it's moving, and it's not my eyes playing tricks on me. It's moving very slowly though, but at least it's moving. So we've concluded that part of our puzzle creation. So let's just do a quick recap. We've had videos showing how we upload an MP4 video format into GitHub, how we then copy the URL of GitHub from GitHub into the CodePen HTML box, removing the word blob and replacing it with raw, so we can actually see the video format. And then we went from there to actually creating the 4 squares. This time we focus very specifically on how we develop the 4 squares design in HTML. Then we wanted to actually add a design to it, so we did that in the CSS block. And finally, we're letting the 4 squares move y-axis, which is vertical, and we're doing that in the JavaScript box. Now, you can argue and say, but Jen, you can just simply take what you wrote in CSS and JSS and put it all together in HTML. Yes, we can. But we're not doing that. We're separating it out so we understand how each box works. And so the next video that we're going to do, we're actually going to finally get to the real content, the text of it all. And we're also going to look at the open library source where we can retrieve the White Cell textbook. And for those that are wondering, yes, this is actually the textbook. I do own the textbook. So we will try that in our next video. So of course, watch this video. If you want to replicate what I've done, you'll probably do an even better job. And some of you probably figured out, like, that's why it wasn't working, Jen. But you know what? We got it to finally move. That's even great. So everyone, I'll see you next time.